Angel Reese has been suspended for Friday's game after getting assessed a technical foul Wednesday night for pimp slapping Aaliyah Edwards.
She takes a jump shot. Angel Reese is trying to go for the rebound and she smacks Aaliyah Edwards in the face. Absolutely sold by Aaliyah Edwards, but Angel Reese smacks Aaliyah Edwards in the face.
Angel Reese just put the Chicago Sky on blast. In an interview with the Chicago Tribune, she made it crystal clear she's not settling for the same roster the team rolled out last season. Her words weren't vague, they weren't subtle, and they weren't soft. She demanded the best of the best, saying the Sky needed to overhaul their team and bring in star-level talent. Stop bringing me bums, stop wasting my time, surround me with winners, or else. Sounds bold, right? A young player planting her flag and demanding excellence. Except, here's the twist. Reese herself hasn't exactly lived up to those superstar expectations. She's missed games with injuries, racked up the most turnovers in the entire league, and still hasn't proven she can carry a team when it matters most. The irony is impossible to ignore. She's calling for upgrades around her, while her own play and attitude have many questioning if she is the real problem.
Angel Reese is suspended for the Indiana Fever game.
Reese receives her 8th tech, which will prohibit her from playing against the Indiana Fever. And 2, she's in some pretty hot water with her teammates about the Chicago Tribune article.
That's the central drama unfolding in Chicago right now. The so-called franchise cornerstone is frustrated, angry, and ready to call her shots. But the more she speaks, the more cracks start to show. Not just in her own leadership, but in the locker room around her. This isn't just about what she said to a reporter. It's about how her teammates reacted, how veterans across the league took it, and how Chicago's front office might already be regretting tying their rebuild to her. And what happened next shocked everybody. The interview with the Tribune wasn't just a slip of the tongue, it was a full-on declaration. Angel Reese said point-blank that she wouldn't accept another year like this one. She made it clear, attracting great players to Chicago was non-negotiable. That's not the kind of language you usually hear from a player in her second professional season. This was someone trying to play general manager, trying to dictate roster moves before even proving she could be a true franchise player herself.
She said, "We have to get good players. We have to get great players. That's a non-negotiable for me. I'm willing and wanting to play with the best, and however I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason." On paper, it sounds ambitious, a player who wants to win championships and won't settle for mediocrity. But tone matters, and the way Reese said it sounded less like leadership and more like entitlement. There's a huge difference between lifting your teammates up and throwing them under the bus. Instead of taking responsibility for her own turnovers, missed layups, and questionable shot selection, Reese shifted the blame to everyone else on the roster. She didn't talk about growing together or working harder or improving chemistry. She talked about replacing people. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And within days, it wasn't just a media storm, it turned into a locker room crisis. But that wasn't the only fallout.
When Reese's words hit social media, teammates noticed. And according to multiple reports, they weren't happy. Front Office Sports revealed that her interview created enough chaos behind the scenes that the Chicago Sky actually had to organize a team meeting, not to talk about game strategy, not to talk about playoff goals, but to sit down and confront what their supposed cornerstone player had said about them publicly. That's not leadership, that's damage control. Imagine being in your early 20s, only one full season into your professional career, and already your teammates are having private meetings to address the drama you caused. That's not the mark of a star. That's dysfunction. And veterans across the league picked up on it immediately. If you can't respect the people sharing the locker room with you, why would free agents want to join you? Why would championship-caliber players put their careers in your hands?
Even younger teammates felt dismissed. Reports suggested that Haley Van Lith, supposed to be part of Chicago's long-term backcourt, was frustrated by the way Reese implied the roster wasn't good enough. It painted everyone as second tier. And once those words leave your mouth, you can't just take them back. Reese wanted to send a message that she was serious about winning.
Instead, she sent the message that she was willing to gut her roster without thinking twice. That made her less of a leader and more of a liability. And it didn't stop there, because one of her comments hit especially hard. One of the most shocking parts of Reese's rant came when she brought up Courtney Vandersloot. For years, Vandersloot has been considered one of the most respected point guards in WNBA history. A two-time champion, five-time All-Star, two-time All-WNBA first-team player. She's not just a role player, she's a legend in the making. And what did Reese say about her? That she was basically too old to matter. Her words, "We can't rely on Courtney to come back at that age. We need someone younger with experience, someone who has been there before and is ready to compete for a championship." Think about how cold that sounds. Vandersloot wasn't even on the court this season because she tore her ACL. She sacrificed to join Chicago when she could have stayed in New York with a championship contender. And instead of being appreciated, she got brushed aside like yesterday's news. That comment didn't just sting, it sent a message to every veteran in the league. This young player doesn't value experience, doesn't respect the grind, and doesn't care about those who came before her. Veterans who might have considered joining Chicago instantly crossed it off their list. And even inside the locker room, players felt like Reese had drawn a line in the sand, her versus everyone else.
But the irony, Chicago had already made sacrifices to build around Reese, and the fact that she ignored those moves made her comments sting even more. Here's where things get really wild. Reese went to the Tribune demanding upgrades, insisting the Sky bring in proven stars. But what she failed to acknowledge was that Chicago's front office had already tried to do that for her. They traded away Sonia Citron, a promising rookie who's been in the Rookie of the Year race and even made the All-Star team in her first season, just to acquire Ariel Atkins. Atkins is no scrub. She's a WNBA champion, a player with playoff experience, someone who knows what it takes to win. That's exactly the type of established talent Reese claims she wanted around her, and still, it wasn't enough. Instead of gratitude, instead of praising the front office for making bold moves, Reese doubled down and said the roster wasn't good enough. Imagine being Atkins, walking into a new locker room after the franchise traded away a future cornerstone for you, only to hear the so-called face of the team saying the team needs better players. That's a slap in the face.
This wasn't about the Sky front office not trying. This was about Reese refusing to recognize effort that had already been made. Chicago was already making moves to give her help. And the more she acted like nothing was good enough, the more fans and executives started wondering if she was worth the drama. And when you look at her actual on-court production, those doubts only get louder. On paper, Angel Reese's numbers look solid, around 15 points and 12 rebounds per game. That sounds like a reliable double-double machine. But stats can be deceiving, and when you dig deeper, the cracks in her game become impossible to ignore. For starters, Reese leads the entire league in turnovers, not just among forwards, not just among rookies, the entire league. And that's despite missing several weeks with injury. Think about that for a second. She played fewer games, had fewer minutes, and still coughed up the ball more than anyone else. That's not dominance. That's recklessness. Her finishing ability is another glaring issue. 20% of her shots inside 9 feet, basically layups and close-range attempts, get blocked. That's an absurd number for a supposed interior force. Add in the fact that she racks up technical fouls at an alarming rate, already hitting the suspension threshold, and you start to see a pattern: immaturity, lack of discipline, poor decision-making. And the kicker? Chicago often looked better without her on the floor. The ball moved cleaner, the defense tightened up, the energy was different. That's the exact opposite of what you want from a star. Normally, a team's ceiling rises with its best player on the floor. In Reese's case, her absence sometimes felt like addition by subtraction. If you're going to demand an overhaul, you need to back it up with elite play. Reese hasn't done that. And when you compare her to another young star in Indiana, the contrast couldn't be sharper.
While Angel Reese was throwing shade at her own teammates, another young star in Indiana was showing everyone what real leadership looks like. Caitlin Clark walked into the WNBA with more pressure than anyone before her. Every game she plays is nationally televised. Every shot she takes trends on social media, and every mistake becomes a headline. Most players would crack under that kind of microscope. Clark didn't. Instead, she leaned into it with grace, patience, and professionalism that her teammates and coaches rave about. Even when sidelined with injuries, Clark stayed locked in. She didn't disappear from the team. She didn't distance herself. She traveled with the fever, sat on the bench in street clothes, and cheered her teammates on as if she was still running the point. That sent a powerful message, not just to her roster, but to the whole league. She wasn't above her teammates, she was with them. And the results on the floor spoke volumes. When Clark plays, her teammates thrive. Aaliyah Boston dominates the paint with confidence. Guards like Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hall space out and get cleaner looks, and Sophie Cunningham slides in perfectly with her energy and defense. Clark doesn't just score, she makes everyone around her better. That's why she's already one of the league's top assist leaders. Compare that to Reese. While one player was burning bridges with her own roster, the other was building a culture in Indiana that veterans actually want to join. And that's the difference between hype and reality. The fallout from Reese's comments isn't just about one bad interview. It's about reputation, and right now, hers is spiraling. Across the league, the perception is clear. Angel Reese is more trouble than she's worth. Instead of being seen as a cornerstone, she's viewed as a locker room problem, someone who creates tension rather than unity. That's the kind of label that can stick with the player for years, and it makes free agents think twice before signing with Chicago.
Fans see it too. The Sky are sitting near the bottom of the standings, stuck in chaos with a frustrated fan base that feels like the franchise is spinning its wheels. On the other side, the Indiana Fever are trending upward. Their ticket sales are exploding, they're grabbing primetime TV slots, and their young roster is playing harder and smarter. And at the center of it all is Clark, setting the example Reese hasn't. Veterans talk about wanting to play alongside Clark because she makes them better. Free agents talk about Indiana as a destination now. Meanwhile, Chicago feels radioactive. And the more Reese complains, the more her own numbers get picked apart. Turnovers, suspensions, games missed, and inconsistency. That's not the profile of someone you build around. That's the profile of someone who drags a team down while demanding more than she gives back. Reese wanted to be Chicago's savior. Instead, she might be their biggest problem. And the gap between her and Clark only makes that truth louder.
So here's the million-dollar question. Was Angel Reese ever the right bet for Chicago? She wanted the roster rebuilt around her. But the irony is, the Sky might realize the real piece they need to move on from is Reese herself. A player can't demand greatness while leading the league in turnovers, getting suspended for technical fouls, and creating chaos off the court. That's not leadership. That's self-sabotage. Meanwhile, Indiana is the complete opposite story. Clark has already redefined what it means to be a franchise cornerstone. She's made her teammates better, sold out arenas, boosted TV ratings, and built a culture of professionalism and grit that's impossible to ignore. The Fever were a lottery team before Clark. Now, they're one of the most exciting squads in the league. That's not hype, that's results.
Chicago fans aren't asking about championships anymore. They're asking if the front office regrets ever tying its rebuild to Reese. And the whispers around the league aren't about who might join her in Chicago. They're about whether Chicago will eventually cut their losses. So let's put it to you. Are you Team Clark, the baby goat who's already rewriting the future of the WNBA? Or are you Team Reese, the baby giraffe who might be remembered more for drama than dominance? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. Because if this season taught us anything, it's that the future of the WNBA is being written right now, and not everyone is going to survive it.